Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Now, I know that this movie is set for younger audiences, but I was actually pretty surprised that I found this movie to be pretty entertaining. Yes, it can be childish at times, but I still think it's a pretty good and entertaining movie. Anyway, let's get into it. The main reason that I wanted to watch this film in the first place is because this is the first film that Tim Burton directed, and yes, I'm a Tim Burton fan. After the credits, the movie truly begins with a race, and then we are introduced to our main character, Pee-wee, who is in the race and starts to win it. Pee-wee then quickly passes the finish line and is then brought over to be given some sort of crown. At this point, I've seen so many movies I even predicted it was a dream, not to brag or anything. He then gets out of bed and starts to do his morning routine, and we really start to see how childish she is. I mean, he even has bunny slippers.
Look out, Mr. Potato Head!
Quite a sight to see. Pee-wee then goes down his fire pole, which I'm not even sure how he got his hands on, and then begins to eat breakfast. We are then introduced to Pee-wee's dog, Speck. He doesn't really do anything throughout the story, but who cares? After this, we get a pretty weird and overcomplicated scene of Pee-wee just making his breakfast.
Good morning, Pee-wee!
Yeah, there's a lot of weird scenes in this movie. Pee-wee then goes outside and presses a couple of random buttons, and for a second there I thought he was bombing someone's house, but no, he's just getting his bike. As Pee-wee's bringing his bike into the driveway, we get, I guess who you can call the antagonist of this movie, although I didn't really find him that irritating. Pee-wee then pulls a Woody after Francine, that so-called antagonist I was talking about, asks for Pee-wee's bike.
You'll be sorry, Pee-wee Herman!
While Pee-wee's at a magic shop, he locks up his bike with a comically large amount of chains, but in his absence, someone steals his bike. With the police not willing to help Pee-wee find his bike, because the police are never much help in these movies, Pee-wee must find his bike on his own. Pee-wee quickly realizes that Francine must have been the one who stole his bike, so he goes over there to confront him, but he doesn't get far. Francine's dad and some other random dude bust down the door and make Pee-wee apologize to Francine. This is what I meant about this movie sometimes appealing to younger audiences. After going to a fortune teller and being told that his bike is in the Alamo, Pee-wee goes into the middle of the road and waits to get picked up by a car. Pee-wee is eventually picked up by a criminal named Mickey, and this leads to probably what I thought was the funniest part in the entire movie.
I lost my temper and I took a knife and you know those little do not remove under the penalty of law labels they put on mattresses? Well, I cut one of them off.
Later that night, Pee-wee takes over at driving, but he doesn't do a very good job at it because he quickly makes the car drive off a cliff.
Here comes the sun.
Although Pee-wee and Mickey do end up living, Mickey kicks Pee-wee out of the car, so Pee-wee must find another way of transportation. Pee-wee is picked up by a strange woman who begins to tell him a story that occurred 10 years ago, and this leads to probably the second most funny part in the movie.
It looked like this.
Just amazing.
Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
There's a pretty hilarious part where Pee-wee gets chased by a big guy named Andy because, well, you'll have to see. After escaping onto a train from Andy, Pee-wee then has a dream about a dinosaur, which I thought was pretty cool. Finally, Pee-wee arrives at the Alamo and he goes on a tour that explains pretty much everything about it. And he's pretty much bored out of his mind the entire time until the end where he realizes what he was looking for doesn't even exist. He then stumbles upon the private club of the Satan's Helpers, and after he destroys all their motorcycles, let's just say they aren't happy. In fact, they're very mad, and they have an intent of killing Pee-wee. Geez, these people need to calm down. But before they have the chance, Pee-wee asks for a final request, and it's okay with them. Pee-wee starts to dance, and the members of the Satan's Helpers Club start to get into it when he starts to throw beer bottles on the floor. They let him leave without any harm, and they even give him a motorcycle, but it doesn't end well.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Pee-wee is immediately sent to the hospital, and while he's there, he has a dream about clowns. This movie was made for me.
No!
That part kind of reminds me of from Killer Clowns. Which is a funny coincidence considering that the scene I was last talking about is about clowns. I have this weird belief that this guy may be Francine from earlier in the movie. It's probably not true, but it's just stuck in my head for some reason. Well, Pee-wee finds the answer to his problems because he finds out that his bike is being kept at Warner Brothers Studios. Pee-wee finds the lot where his bike is being kept on and quickly devises a plan on how to get it back. Apparently, Pee-wee's bike is being used for a commercial, and Pee-wee has the funny idea of stealing the bike while the commercial is being filmed. Shortly after Pee-wee steals the bike, he begins to get chased by security guards. This whole chase scene sort of breaks the fourth wall a little bit with all the Warner Brothers lots and all that stuff, especially considering the fact that this movie was distributed by Warner Brothers. But either way, this chase scene is still entertaining, delivering some hilarious but still action-packed sequences. I mean, this entire scene is amazing. I even got myself a Godzilla reference, and you know that makes me happy. Pee-wee starts to finally get close to the exit of the studio, and oh my god, Godzilla is riding in Santa's sleigh. But Pee-wee is eventually caught by the security guards, and he is shown footage of all the destruction that he caused. Although, he's not in trouble. In fact, someone named Terry even asked him if he'd like his story to be made into a Warner Brothers movie. He of course agrees, and later in the drive-in, Pee-wee's big adventure is being shown, which means that this movie has broken the fourth wall for a second time. And comically enough, the actor who plays Pee-wee in the movie looks nothing like him. Where have I heard that before? So yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a nicely paced and very entertaining Tim Burton film. Some of you guys will just be like, nope, I'm not watching a Goofy Kids movie. But in my personal experiences, instant denial isn't the way to go. So if you're looking for a Tim Burton movie that's not too scary or too dark, this movie's for you. Oh yeah, and one last thing.